the small, seemingly idyllic town of Clearwater, nestled in the heart of the countryside, stood the imposing structure of St. Elmo's Academy. The school, with its towering spires and shadowy hallways, had been a fixture of the town for over a century, its history interwoven with the lives of many generations. But beneath its veneer of scholarly pursuit lurked a chilling secret, one that would unravel in a tale of horror and madness. The story began with the arrival of a new history teacher, Evelyn Chambers, a bright and ambitious young woman drawn to St. Elmo's by its reputation for academic excellence. However, Evelyn quickly realized that the school was shrouded in an aura of unease. Students spoke in hushed tones about strange occurrences, unexplained noises in the night, spectral figures roaming the corridors, and an inexplicable chill that seemed to pervade the ancient stone walls. Evelyn's curiosity led her to delve into the history of St. Elmo's, where she uncovered a series of tragic events that seemed to haunt the school. Decades ago, a fire had claimed the lives of several students, their dormitory engulfed in flames under mysterious circumstances. In the years that followed, there were whispers of a curse, a malevolent force born from the tragedy that continued to linger in the school. As winter set in, a series of disturbing events began to unfold. Students disappeared, only to be found days later in a state of shock, their minds shattered by an unknown terror. Dark symbols appeared on the walls of the dormitories, and a sense of dread hung over the school like a pall. Evelyn, determined to uncover the truth, sought the help of a local historian, Jonathan Blake. Together, they discovered that St. Elmo's had been built upon the ruins of an old monastery, a place with a dark and bloody past. The monastery had been home to a fanatical sect whose monks had dabbled in forbidden rituals, seeking to commune with forces beyond their understanding. The deeper Evelyn and Jonathan dug into the school's past, the more they realized that the horrors of the monastery had seeped into the very foundations of St. Elmo's. The fire that had taken the lives of the students all those years ago had been no accident. It had been a ritual gone awry, unleashing an entity that had lain dormant in the bowels of the old monastery. As the entity's grip on the school tightened, reality itself began to warp. The hallways of St. Elmo's twisted into impossible geometries, the shadows alive with whispering voices. Students and teachers alike were driven to the brink of madness, ensnared by the entity's malevolent influence. In a desperate bid to end the nightmare, Evelyn and Jonathan uncovered the ancient ritual that could banish the entity back to its slumber. The ritual required them to confront the entity in the heart of the school, where the veil between worlds was thinnest. On a stormy night, as lightning tore across the sky, Evelyn and Jonathan performed the ritual in the old chapel of St. Elmo's. The entity, a swirling mass of shadows and malevolence, fought back with terrifying fury, its power threatening to consume them. In a climactic struggle, Evelyn and Jonathan succeeded in completing the ritual, the entity shrieking as it was torn from the world. As dawn broke, the school was silent, the entity vanquished, its hold on St. Elmo's broken. The aftermath of the ordeal left its mark on Clearwater. St. Elmo's Academy was forever changed, its dark past a whispered legend among the townsfolk. Evelyn and Jonathan moved on from the school, their lives irrevocably altered by the horrors they had faced. The tale of St. Elmo's Academy became a chilling story of a school that had peered into the abyss, a warning of the dangers of delving too deep into the unknown. And in the quiet town of Clearwater, the memory of that long winter lingered, a haunting reminder of the evil that had once walked the halls of St. Elmo's.
Now the second story.
In the quaint town of Willowdale Surrounded by dense forests and rolling hills, there stood an old, revered institution, Willowdale High School. The school was a pillar of the community, but one of its classrooms, room 13, was shrouded in dark rumors and an inexplicable chill that seemed to seep through its very walls. The story of room 13 began with the arrival of a new English teacher, Mr. Arthur Grimshaw. He was a peculiar man, with a gaunt face and deep-set eyes that always seemed to be peering into the distance. His arrival coincided with the start of the school year, and he was assigned room 13 as his own home. Students immediately felt uneasy in room 13. The air was always unnaturally cold, and the old portraits on the walls seemed to watch the students with hidden malice. Strange occurrences became a daily experience, whispers with no source, fleeting shadows in the corners of the room, and a persistent feeling of being watched. Mr. Grimshaw, however, seemed unfazed by these occurrences, often lost in his own world, lecturing about Gothic literature and the darker aspects of human nature. His fascination with the macabre both intrigued and unsettled the students. As autumn approached, a palpable sense of dread settled over room 13. Students started experiencing terrifying hallucinations, visions of another world, a place of shadows and whispers where an otherworldly entity lurked. These visions were strongest in room 13, especially near an old, ornate mirror that hung on the back wall, its surface speckled with age. Jane Harper, a bright and inquisitive student, decided to investigate the history of room 13. With the help of her friends, Mike and Emily, she delved into the school's archives. They uncovered a chilling history. Room 13 had been the site of numerous unexplained incidents over the decades, disappearances, psychological breakdowns, and even an unsolved case of a student who vanished without a trace. Their research led them to a series of old journals belonging to the school's founder, which spoke of a forbidden ritual and a gateway to another realm. The mirror in room 13, they learned, was not just a mirror, but a focal point for this ritual, a portal to a dark and malevolent world. As Halloween approached, the strange phenomena in room 13 intensified. Mr. Grimshaw's behavior became increasingly erratic, and the visions experienced by the students grew more vivid and terrifying. Jane, Mike, and Emily realized that Mr. Grimshaw was planning to use the mirror to open the gateway permanently on Halloween night. Determined to stop him, the trio confronted Mr. Grimshaw on Halloween as the school lay quiet and empty. In room 13, they found him chanting in front of the mirror, the air thick with otherworldly energy. A harrowing struggle ensued, with reality itself warping around them. The entity from the other side of the mirror began to seep into their world, its form a swirling mass of shadows and malice. In a desperate bid to close the gateway, Jane and her friends used the knowledge from the journals to reverse the ritual. The room shook with eldritch power as they fought to push the entity back and seal the portal. As dawn broke, room 13 was silent once more. The mirror was shattered, its fragments scattered across the floor. Mr. Grimshaw was gone, his fate unknown. The aftermath of that night left a deep scar on Willowdale High School. Room 13 was sealed off, the remnants of the mirror removed, but the whispers and rumors persisted. Jane, Mike, and Emily were changed by the ordeal, their lives forever marked by the horrors they had faced. The story of Room 13 became a dark legend among the students of Willowdale High, a haunting reminder of the thin veil that separates our world from the darkness that lies beyond. And in the quiet town of Willowdale, the memory of that Halloween night lingered, a chilling tale of a classroom that had opened a door to something ancient and unspeakably evil.
Now the third story.
In the secluded mountain town of Pinecrest, overshadowed by the looming peaks of the Grey Ridge Mountains, there stood an old, almost forgotten school known as Coldwood Academy. Its most infamous feature was Classroom 104, a place shrouded in whispers and fear, where the walls seemed to hold secrets darker than the town itself. Classroom 104 had always been different. Its windows never let in quite enough light, leaving it cloaked in perpetual twilight. The air was always a few degrees colder, and the old, wooden floorboards creaked with the weight of unseen presences. The unsettling aura of the classroom intensified with the arrival of a new history teacher, Mr. Nathaniel Hawthorne. Hawthorne was a man of anachronistic dress and manner, with piercing gray eyes that seemed to look through one's very soul. His arrival at Coldwood Academy coincided with the start of a series of chilling occurrences. Students began to report nightmarish experiences within Classroom 104. They spoke of seeing fleeting, shadowy figures in the corners of their eyes and hearing disturbing, unintelligible whispers emanating from the walls. Some claimed to have seen the classroom's historical artifacts move of their own volition, as if reenacting tragic events from the past. Eleanor Ellie Marlowe, a senior at Coldwood, became increasingly intrigued and disturbed by these stories. Her curiosity led her to delve into the history of Classroom 104. What she uncovered was a tapestry of tragedy and horror. The classroom had been the site of numerous unexplained incidents over the decades, from sudden, unexplained illnesses to several students who had inexplicably vanished, never to be seen again. As autumn gave way to the harsh, unyielding winter, the events in Classroom 104 escalated. Entire classes reported shared hallucinations, vivid and terrifying visions of historical events marred by violence and despair. These episodes were always strongest during Mr. Hawthorne's lectures, which were peculiarly vivid and immersive. Ellie, along with her friends, Lucas and Mia, began to suspect that Mr. Hawthorne was not merely a history teacher, but something far more sinister. Their suspicions were confirmed when they discovered an old journal in the school's library, its pages detailing a forbidden ritual that could open a window to the past, allowing the horrors of history to seep into the present. They realized that Mr. Hawthorne was using Classroom 104 as a focal point for this ritual, harnessing the energy of the students to tear through the fabric of time and bring forth the darkest aspects of the past. On the eve of the winter solstice, Ellie and her friends confronted Mr. Hawthorne in Classroom 104, intending to stop him. The room was transformed, the walls alive with writhing shadows, and the air charged with a malevolent energy. Mr. Hawthorne revealed his true nature. He was a warlock, a practitioner of dark magic, seeking to break the barriers of time and unleash chaos upon the world. The classroom was his conduit, a place where the veil between the present and the horrors of the past was thinnest. A terrifying battle ensued, with Ellie and her friends fighting to disrupt the ritual as the spirits of the past, soldiers, victims of tragedy, and figures of despair manifested in the classroom. The air was filled with the sounds of battles long past and the chill of centuries-old sorrow. In a desperate act, Ellie managed to destroy the ancient artifacts that powered the ritual, severing Mr. Hawthorne's connection to the dark forces he had summoned. As the ritual collapsed, Mr. Hawthorne vanished, consumed by the vengeful spirits he had unleashed. When dawn broke, Classroom 104 was silent, its walls cracked and aged, as if decades had passed in a single night. Mr. Hawthorne was never seen again. The aftermath of that night left Coldwood Academy forever changed. Classroom 104 was sealed off, becoming a legend whispered about in the halls of the school. Ellie and her friends graduated, but the memories of that terrifying winter night remained with them. The tale of Classroom 104 at Coldwood Academy became a chilling story, a warning of the dangers of delving too deep into the shadows of the past and of the thin veil that separates the present from the horrors of history. In the town of Pinecrest, the memory of that solstice night lingered, a haunting reminder of the time when a classroom became a gateway to the darkest corners of the past.
Now the fourth story.
In the heart of the sprawling, mist-covered city of Viridian, nestled amidst its modern skyscrapers and bustling urban life, there lay an old, prestigious school known as Hargrove Academy. But within its historic walls, there existed a room that was a source of whispered rumors and unsettling tales, Classroom 221B. Classroom 221B, located in the oldest wing of the Academy, was a place shrouded in mystery and darkness. The room was perpetually cold, the air thick with an unexplained sense of foreboding. It was said that the classroom was built on the site of an ancient library, which had burnt down under mysterious circumstances centuries ago, taking with it a trove of arcane knowledge. The uncanny occurrences in Classroom 221B escalated with the appointment of a new literature teacher, Edgar Blackwood. Blackwood was a charismatic yet enigmatic figure with a peculiar fascination with Gothic literature and the occult. His classes were mesmerizing, yet students often left feeling disoriented, with gaps in their memories. Alice Bennett, a bright and curious student, felt a compelling draw to uncover the secrets of Classroom 221B. Her investigation led her to a series of chilling discoveries. The classroom, she learned, had been the site of numerous unexplained phenomena over the years, students and teachers driven to madness, bizarre apparitions, and even rumors of a secret society that had once conducted rituals in the dead of night. As winter descended upon Viridian City, bringing with it a blanket of perpetual twilight, the strange occurrences in Classroom 221B grew more frequent and intense. Students reported seeing ghostly figures in the mirrors, hearing whispers echoing through the walls, and experiencing terrifying visions of otherworldly horrors. Determined to uncover the truth, Alice and her friends, Liam and Rachel, began to delve deeper into the history of Classroom 221B. Their search led them to ancient texts and forgotten lore about the burned library. They discovered that the library had housed forbidden books of dark magic and that its destruction had been no accident but an act of sealing away an ancient, malevolent entity. They realized that Mr. Blackwood was attempting to harness the latent energies of Classroom 221B to breach the barriers between worlds, seeking knowledge and power from beyond. The room was a nexus of dark forces, a thin point in the veil separating the real from the unreal. On the night of the winter solstice, the longest night of the year, Alice and her friends confronted Mr. Blackwood in Classroom 221B. The room was transformed, its walls pulsating with eldritch energy, ancient symbols glowing with an unholy light. In a harrowing confrontation, they discovered that Mr. Blackwood was a warlock obsessed with bringing forth the entity trapped beneath the classroom. The air was filled with the howls of otherworldly beings, and the fabric of reality began to tear. In a desperate bid to stop the ritual, Alice and her friends managed to disrupt the summoning. The entity, partially materialized, was a horror beyond comprehension, a mass of tentacles and eyes, its presence an assault on the mind. Amidst this chaos, they shattered the focal point of the ritual, an ancient relic hidden within the classroom. As the relic broke, the entity was pulled back into the void, the breach sealing shut in a maelstrom of dark energy. When the chaos subsided, Classroom 221B was left in ruins. Mr. Blackwood had vanished, his fate unknown. The school closed the classroom permanently, sealing it off, but the legends persisted. The tale of Classroom 221B at Hargrove Academy became a chilling legend among the students and residents of Viridian City. Alice and her friends moved on, but the memories of that night remained, a haunting reminder of the thin line that separates our reality from the dark, unfathomable realms that lie beyond. And in the heart of the city, the sealed door of Classroom 221B stood as a silent testament to the night when the boundaries of reality were torn asunder, unleashing horrors from beyond the veil.
Now the fifth story.
In the ancient, fog-enshrouded town of Dunwich, isolated from the modern world by dense, whispering forests, stood the foreboding Dunwich Preparatory School. The school, a sprawling Gothic structure with turrets and gargoyles leering from its rooftops, was home to a dark and sinister secret, the existence of Classroom Zero. Classroom Zero, hidden beneath the school in a labyrinth of forgotten subterranean passages, was a place of legend and fear. Its existence was known only to a select few, its door marked by an ancient, rune-etched stone slab. The room was said to have been the site of unspeakable rituals performed centuries ago by the school's founders, who were rumored to have been practitioners of dark arts. The malevolent aura of Classroom Zero grew stronger with the arrival of Professor Alaric Dorian, a man whose reputation for delving into forbidden knowledge preceded him. With his arrival, a series of disturbing events began to unfold within the school. Students and faculty reported nightmarish encounters and visions, a palpable sense of dread permeating the school's ancient walls. Iris Caldwell, a courageous and intelligent student with a keen interest in the school's hidden history, became determined to uncover the secrets of Classroom Zero. Her investigation led her to discover ancient texts that spoke of a malevolent entity known as the Old One, which had been bound within the room by the school's founders. As autumn waned and the nights grew longer, the phenomena surrounding Classroom Zero escalated. Shadows seemed to move of their own accord, and chilling whispers echoed through the school's corridors. The barrier between the real and the unreal was thinning, the seal on Classroom Zero weakening. Iris, along with her friends Theo and Lena, discovered that Professor Dorian intended to harness the energy of the upcoming lunar eclipse to break the seal and unleash the Old One upon the world. His motivations were shrouded in mystery, but it was clear that his actions could lead to cataclysmic consequences. On the night of the eclipse, Iris and her friends descended into the depths of the school, guided by the ancient texts. They confronted Professor Dorian in Classroom Zero, the room now alive with otherworldly energy, the air thick with the scent of decay and old earth. The confrontation was a nightmare brought to life. Professor Dorian, his true nature revealed, was a warlock, his body and mind twisted by his communion with the Old One. The entity itself was a horror beyond imagining, a formless, writhing mass of darkness, its presence an abyss that threatened to swallow all light and sanity. In a climactic battle, Iris and her friends fought to reseal the Old One as the eclipse reached its zenith. Using the knowledge from the ancient texts, they chanted the binding incantations, their voices weaving a spell of sealing amidst the chaos. As the eclipse passed, the ritual reached its completion. The Old One let out an otherworldly howl as it was pulled back into its prison, the stone slab sealing shut with a resounding boom. The aftermath of that night left Dunwich Preparatory School forever changed. Classroom Zero was sealed off permanently, buried beneath the school, its its existence erased from records. Professor Dorian was never seen again, his fate a mystery. Iris and her friends left Dunwich, their lives marked by the horrors they had faced. The tale of Classroom Zero became a whispered legend, a chilling reminder of the ancient and malevolent forces that lurk in the hidden corners of the world, awaiting a chance to break free and unleash darkness upon the earth. And in the quiet town of Dunwich, the memory of that fateful eclipse night lingered, a haunting testament to the existence of evil that transcends time and the bravery of those who stand against it.